Okay, so me and Liam here have been receiving a lot of questions about cloning, and since me and Liam are complete experts at it, we are going to be answering a couple questions that have been submitted to us.
Okay, so the first question is, what is cloning? Well, cloning is the creation of an organism that has the exact genetic copy as the other organism. This means that the DNA from both of these organisms is the exact same.
So our second question is, how do scientists perform the process of cloning? Well, to begin with, there are many ways to create a clone. Personally, my favorite is called artificial embryo twinning. This simulates the process of identical twins being formed in nature. Naturally, twins are made just after a female egg is fertilized by a sperm cell, making it a zygote. In some cases, the zygote tries to split into two-celled embryos. The cells separate. Each cell continues to divide on its own until developing into two individual cells. Since the cells came from the same zygote, they are genetically identical.
Artificial embryo twinning uses the same approach, but the zygote grows inside a Petri disk instead of inside the mother's body. What we do, though, is that we manually separate a very young embryo and place it into a surrogate mother, where they grow until they are delivered. Since the embryo came from the same zygote, they are genetically identical.
One thing, though, that many people don't know is that we have already successfully cloned animals. In Scotland, a team led by Ian Wilmot successfully cloned a sheep called Dolly, but they used another form of cloning called somatic cell nuclear transfer.
Another question we received was, what different types of cloning are there? Well, besides the one that we have already listed called artificial embryo twinning, there is only one more popular type of cloning. This is called somatic cell nuclear transfer. This one is different from artificial embryo twinning because in artificial embryo twinning, we are creating two creatures that have the exact same DNA. In somatic cell nuclear transfer, you take the DNA from one already living creature and then create a replica of it.
Researchers do this by separating a somatic cell from an adult animal. A somatic cell is any cell of a living organism other than the reproductive cell. Next, they move the nucleus from the cell to an egg cell. After a couple of weeks, the egg cell starts to act like a newly fertilized zygote. It then develops into an embryo, which is then implanted into a mother and then grown like a natural baby. So another question we received was, can you give an example of cloning? One example was used with somatic cell nuclear transfer. Dolly the sheep was the first mammal to ever be cloned. Dolly was a female sheep from Scotland. She was born on the 5th of July in 1996 from the effort of three mothers. One mother provided the egg, another provided the DNA, and the last one carried her. This cloning happened in the Rosaleen Institute in Scotland. Dolly had a shorter life, though, than many other sheep because people say that the cloning had side effects. Okay, so one of the questions that we received is cloning beneficial? There are not that many positives about cloning yet, but one could be that we can clone organs and tissues that the human body cannot naturally heal.
What are the negative effects of cloning? Many studies show that cloned animals suffer from enlarged organs. Dolly the sheep had very bad arthritis and cells that grew faster than normal sheep. Cloned animals are not exactly the same as real animals yet. There are many controversies about cloning too. Most are ethical, mostly raised by the Catholic Church, who believe that life begins at conception and cannot be created artificially, but from the unity of a man and woman.
Okay, so our last question is, are there any current issues? So besides the one about the Catholic Church freaking out about cloning, one issue is that the cattle farmers are finding sucks an expensive waste of time. Many farmers want to start cloning, but lots of people are against cloning and will not eat cloned meat.
Thank you for watching.
And let's hope that you don't have a bad day.